a beginner artist who struggles with anatomy and drawing from a reference, but you find all textbook methods confusing? Well, you've come to the right place. I can help you learn simple anatomy and simple poses. Hopefully. Studying Renaissance art is what helped me the most through my journey as an artist. Learning from the masters such as Michelangelo, Alexander Cabanel, Da Vinci, and others significantly improved my drawing skills simply by observing.
Actually, we're not in school to study. Shut up! Let me explain.
What I mean by studying is the breaking down of their sculptures and drawings into simple and easy to digest shapes. Just by tracing over them, you could easily locate where muscles are, as well as how the body naturally works. How do you do that though? Well, with the skeleton. You see, the skeleton is the basis for all humans and animals alike. And by simply breaking down what you see, you can easily locate where joints are and how the body structure is made to be. You can see the shape of the ribs, the pelvis, and fingers. Now, with all this context in mind, going back to the Renaissance paintings, you can see all those shapes taking into place, and it's much more easier to break it down and understand it. I know you might want to draw a more of a cartoony style, more of like a stylized look to it, but you still need to learn the basics of anatomy in order to understand how the body moves and how the joints fold and how the fingers are constructed in a way, because it might not look natural or very fluid at all. I only recommend this method of tracing when you're studying Renaissance artworks or sculptures. But of course, you don't have to draw those people you're seeing. You could insert your own OCs or maybe even fan art of characters you like and so on. However, just by drawing those shapes alone does not guarantee a very expressive pose. Well, there is something called the line of fluidity, or the flow of the body. You can see it take into place as I draw it. Otherwise, the pose might end up stiff. Additionally, when observing these artworks, you might want to trace those more specific places like folds where the muscles are, so you could understand in more depth how the body is constructed. Here you can see the pelvis line, so this is where the bone is, and here you can see where fat and muscle meet, so that it creates this little bump as they merge together. Right where the leg is, you can see where the ligament is sticking out, and here is a bit of a muscle, and there as well. Overall, don't forget to think of the body as a 3D object and not as a flat surface, because that way you understand the folds and how the muscles take into place, as well as how the body fat is layered, which will also help you with shadows and highlights and where to position them. Now, I understand that Renaissance may be not your cup of tea, but drawing from pictures, whether or not you took them or you found them on the internet, is very beneficial. So therefore, I really recommend Pinterest because there are plenty of poses you could choose. Editing me here, I just wanted to say that just by tracing, you can get down the basics, but you have to learn on your own with a reference, as you need to build up that muscle memory. Also, I do not condone stealing other people's art. I primarily use it for studying only. Moving on, here we have a more of a variety in terms of body sizes. Even when drawing somebody skinny, they have a bump on their stomach because that's where the organs are located, and also their folds at the back because that's how naturally fat and muscle is distributed. When drawing different sized people, you have to understand how the fat composition works and where it's mostly placed, and how it correlates in terms of gravity. The more there is, the more folds happen. Do not draw the belly straight out unless you're trying to draw someone pregnant, since the body fat is influenced by gravity. Therefore, it drags it down, and it can be seen on the belly button as well as the back. Same goes for drawing chests. Fat distribution also happens around the armpits, and the lines drawn vary in number and in length depending on the person. This also can be seen in the arms. And remember to use more softer shapes such as circles and ovals. As for example, more muscular people tend to be more pointy and sharp, I guess. They have more sharp angles in general. Another thing to remember is that the skin folds, so that's what these lines over here are. The skin overlays on itself. And like I said, the more there is, the more folds that happen. Additionally, do not forget the pelvis. There is always a little pelvis bone that sticks out, no matter what. More folds can be seen under the belly, and it's really cute. I like it. Now, a different approach, I've broken down all the bodies into simpler shapes. And you can see all these triangles forming and how they tend to get rounder depending on the person. And remember to draw the lines curved, for example, around the thighs or the tummy, because, like I said, it's a 3D person. Do not think of them as a 2D unless you're drawing more of a cartoony style, I guess.
Epic editor moment.
But carrying on, you could see this is where the pelvis is, and you could see the shape that I used previously on the skeleton and the Fallen Angel by Alexander Cabanel. And don't forget to put it, as it's a lot easier to figure out the shapes of the body that way. Here you could see the triangles and the lines I was talking about. They're like larger triangles depending on the person. And also the lines that I used for the arms, they're, like I said, curved because it's a 3D person. Carrying on with my previous statement, you could see how the chest tends to get lower depending on the size of the person. And I've put them on a linear position so you could see the change occurring. Now here's a different angle, and this time it's from the front. I start off by laying the simple shapes that I was talking about earlier. On the first drawing, the person has this thing called hip dips, and they can be seen on all body sizes. It's just how either fat or muscle is distributed naturally through the body, and it varies from a person to person. The last drawing, you can see the belly button is a bit more squished because the fat is dragged down by gravity, and it creates a fold. Also, you can see how chest size varies, but usually it's more up to genetics, so different people have different chest sizes. Also, you can see how the collarbones are less visible, and I just decided to lay down the grid lines that I put on the previous one so you could see. Another fun thing to learn are stretch marks. They tend to take the shape of a lightning. They can either be horizontal when a person has grown in height too fast, or vertical when a person has gained body mass suddenly. They can appear on the back, chest, belly, legs, arms, and armpits. Moving on to the demonstration, I found this girl on Pinterest, but I couldn't find any of her socials, so I'm not sure who this is. Side note, I am stupid and I put minimal work in the planning of the anatomy, even though it was supposed to be a tutorial. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Excuse me.
Anyways, when drawing the legs, make sure you sketch out both, even if they're in front of each other, as it helps with drawing it more accurately, and it's more unlikely to make mistakes that way and draw one of them longer than the other. Feel free to change the pose. I totally didn't hide that hand on purpose because I struggled too much. No! I could never. But as I was saying, another thing I recommend is if you want to draw clothes on a character, do not start with the clothes, but start with the anatomy, so that way you could get down the proportions correctly and you'll be fine for the rest of it. Generally, repetition and consistency will make you a better artist, so don't give up when it doesn't work out the first time. Trust me, I've been there and it can get really hard trying to get back up my motivation to continue drawing when something doesn't happen, but carrying on will only benefit you if you want to become a serious artist, or if you just want to draw whenever you want, whatever you want. Also, please do not ask me on the tutorial how to draw hands, because I barely scrape by myself. Like, look at this! What is this? But if you'd like a tutorial on coloring or how to use Ibis Paint, or maybe even a face tutorial, just hit me up. Leave down a comment and I'll try and do my best to explain with my limited sets of skills. Yay! But talking about the clothes, make sure you know that you're putting them on a 3D person, so they will also curve and have a different shape than if you were just to lay them down flat. My script finished, so enjoy these random facts upcoming. Wow! If you want to improve shading, you might want to start with just 3D shapes, like literally just simple 3D shapes, a cylinder, a cube, a cuboid, and figure out where the light source is coming from. And you might want to start putting shadows where the light doesn't hit the box or the cylinder, whatever shape you picked. But overall, that will help you with understanding where to put shadows when you start drawing humans as well. So you gotta start with the basics. Trust me, I have tried just head diving into something I don't know, and quite a lot of the times will just end up really bad, and it would just be a terrible experience. So you might want to exercise first before you dive in headfirst into very complicated waters. Whoa. But 10 out of 10 times, I'm too stubborn, so don't be like me. I really hope you found this very poopy tutorial from a self-taught artist quite helpful. I am not really a teacher, so my condolences for wasting your time on this. I really hope that this video hasn't been too boring or too scientific or maybe kinda bad. I hope not. I'm not sure, but I'm sorry if I didn't explain anything. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time.